Okay, so let's talk about the interview. Who do you think you will be interviewing with? Do you think it's the hiring manager? Do you think it's the CEO? Probably not. Probably neither of them are people that you'll interface with during your interview. Guess who interviews engineers or people with a STEM background? If you're applying for some STEM position, guess who is going to be interviewing you? That's right. Engineers interview engineers. Most likely, the person that you're going to be interviewing with is an engineer. And guess how much background they have in interviewing? Very, very little, most likely. Okay, now there are some exceptions to this. Maybe they hire all the time, maybe they're really good at interviewing, but chances are they've never had any formal education or formal schooling of how to run an interview. It's not like they got a business degree and so this was part of their education, or that they've taken some class or something to know how to interview people. They actually most likely do not have any formal education on how to interview. Now, if they are an engineer, which is very likely if you're applying for an engineering position, and first of all, I guess I should say the reason that an engineer is going to interview you is because the hiring manager is not technically savvy enough, most likely, in order to know if you're a good candidate. Remember, they're trying to get the right person on the bus. And the people that they trust in their company who are going to be able to spot the good people are the people that you'll be working with. They're the engineers that you'll be working with. They're the coworkers. So there's a really high probability that you will be interviewing with somebody who is also an engineer, or at least in your field of education. Now, because they've never had any education on how to interview, you need to step up and help them out a little bit. They may not be exactly sure how to find out who the right person is for this seat. So if you can step out of your shoes for just a moment and put yourself in their shoes and understand what kind of stress they might be under to fill this seat correctly. You know, they've had applicants flying across their desks or sending them emails. They've whittled it down to a list of people that they want to interview, and now their job is actually really difficult. They've got to figure out of these, 3 or 4 or 5 people who they decided to bring in for on-site interviews, they have to decide which of those is the right person, which one is going to fit this position the best. And so anything you can do through this interview in order to help them out is something you want to do. You want to walk in there with somewhat of a game plan. The interview is nothing to be afraid of. This is an opportunity to meet somebody new, to make a new friend, and whether or not they think you're the right person for the job, most likely this is going to end the way that it should, so to speak. If they think you're the right person for the job, and if you think you're the right person for the job, then they're going to give you the job. If they don't think you're their best fit, or you don't think you're the best fit, then you're not going to get the job. And it's pretty much as simple as that. Now, this would be a really high pressure scenario if this were the only job available on the market, but most likely it's not. And so if you can see it from that perspective, that you are simply coming to see if this is the right job for you and if it's the right choice for them, and vice versa, they brought you in to see if you're the right fit. But there's no reason to get over anxious about it, because if this doesn't work out, most likely something else will. Also, it's important to note that these decisions are not necessarily final. I've actually been turned down for a job before, and then a year and a half later, they called me back and offered me the position. Things change. They're going to have other people leave their company. You're going to have changes in your life, and this is a very fluid thing. So this is not a final decision that's going to ruin or make the rest of your career. This is simply a stepping stone. And if you can see it as that, then you can walk in very natural and comfortable and approach this from the right mindset. In that light, John Gardner is credited with saying, "Don't be interesting, be interested." And that really underscores what we're talking about here in the interview. You don't need to walk in trying to be a salesman. You simply need to be interested in what they're doing. You can imagine from their perspective, somebody who shows real interest in the position rather than someone who's just trying to show off what they've done in the past, most likely they're going to hire somebody who's really interested in the position and who is easy to talk to. So that's what you want to kind of gear yourself up for that this should just be a natural conversation, a discussion with someone who may be a future colleague or a friend of yours.